everyone, welcome to Crush House Legends. I'm your host, Wayne Allyn Root. We've got an excellent show in store for you today. Not just excellent, for me, it's a trip down memory lane because we got an absolute legend on the show. 5-time All-Star with the New York Yankees and earned another All-Star appearance with the Los Angeles Dodgers, a Major League Baseball winner and a legend and a World Series winner, Willie Randolph. Thanks for being here, Willie.
Oh, Wayne, thank you for having me, man. Good to be with you, man.
So I got to tell you a story about a small world. In 1977, I was a 15-year-old kid, and I was going to Yankee games with my next-door neighbor, who was the head policeman at Yankee Stadium, and brought me with him to the games all the time, like once or twice a month. And he let me play on the field with the kids of the players. And one of my favorite players was a second baseman named Willie Randolph, you. And so I used to hang out by the locker room. He'd bring me up to the locker room and players would come out. And I said I wanted to meet you. And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll put you in the exact spot where the players come out and go to the parking lot and drive off in their cars. And Willie Randolph hasn't come out yet in the locker room. So wait right here and Willie will be out. And next thing I know, you walk out of the locker room. Now keep in mind, I'm a kid. My eyes must have been the size of saucers because I saw my hero, Willie Randolph, right? And you were carrying in one hand your child. You had a daughter that was like 1 year old, or maybe even a baby, not even one yet.
Yeah.
And in your other arm, you had a bag, like a leather case that had all your baseball equipment in it. And I said, Mr. Randolph, you're my favorite player. I got to get your autograph. Would you please give me your autograph? And this is one of those Mean Joe Green with the kid stories.
Oh,
you said to me, I can't give you my autograph, kid, because my hands are full. But I'll tell you what, why don't you grab my daughter and walk me to my car? And so you put your daughter in my arms, and you and me walked to your car. You took your daughter out of my arms, you put her in the back seat, you put the seatbelt on, you grabbed your bags, put them in the trunk, because you had two bags in the other hand, so now you carry them in both hands. And then you said, thanks, kid, that was great. You got in the car and you drove away, and I never got the autograph.
Oh, you never got the autograph, really? Oh, my goodness.
So 45 years later, you better give me an autograph, my friend.
You got it. What
Is
cool
that a small
story.
world? I know it's impossible to ask this question, but do you even vaguely remember a kid walking to your car in the Yankees parking lot and you gave me your daughter to hold while you carried two bags? Do you remember that?
Wayne, well, it's such a cool story, man, but I do not remember that. But
Yeah,
I do
it's tough.
remember at the time, obviously my daughter, she wasn't even a year old yet. And
Yeah.
when we went on the road, we would actually take our bags with us. I cannot believe that I actually had you told my daughter to give me an autograph. So I got to make it up. I got to make it up, man. I'm sorry about that.
It's not a problem. It was a funny story. And
a
I've
great
told
story.
it to people for 45 years that my hero let me hold his daughter. I helped him get into his car, pack his trunk, and then he forgot to give me the autograph and he drove off. You didn't do it in a mean way. You did it in a nice way, and you just forgot about the autograph. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you about it. It's a great story, and it's a small world, isn't it? Who would ever imagine 45 years later you'd be on my show and we'd be hanging out together? Great stuff.
Yes.
So listen, I was the world's biggest Yankees fan as a kid growing up. I lived and died with you and Gene Michael and Horace Clark and Greg Nettles and I'm trying to think, Thurman Munson, Ron Bloomberg. Ron Bloomberg. Did you play with Ron, or was that before you?
The first DH. No, I played with Ron, first DH ever, and he was an unbelievable hitter. But yeah, I mean, all those cats were what kind of taught me how to play the game.
Bucky Dent, Bobby Mercer. These were my heroes, man.
Chris Chambliss was my first roommate back in '76, and those guys. Oh man, it was so cool, Wayne, for me to be able to break into the game as a baby and have all these great players teaching me how to play the game. Thurman Munson was the captain. He took me under his wing right away and made me feel like a Yankee as a young player, and I'll never forget that. But we had such a great group of guys who really just kind of taught me how to play the Yankee way. It was outstanding for a young player to come into that fold.
I'm assuming by pure memory now that when you got there, Thurman Munson was kind of at the end of his career before that terrible accident, and Bobby Mercer was kind of at the end of his career, right? Both of them were older veterans, I think, when you got there, right?
Yes, no doubt. Yeah, Thurman still had some decent years, but he really wanted to kind of be closer to home. That's really why he took up, flying the plane, because on all case. He wanted to go home and be with his family. Thurman wasn't a real New York guy. He was more of like the Midwest kind of Ohio kind of guy.
Wasn't he Akron, Ohio? I think that's where he was
Yes.
from, right?
Yes, I think it's Akron. I think he might have went to Kent State. I think in college.
Yes. Yes.
But Thurman, I mean, he was the guy. He was the captain for us, and I just remember so vividly how he just made me feel like I was part of the team, because I had a little chip on my shoulder as a young player, and I was very intense. And he loosened me up. They left to needle me, run me out of the cage all the time. One day I stood up to him. I thought he was going to break me in half. I literally thought he was going to beat me up, all right? But he said, you know what, son, you got to relax. We love you. You're one of us now. And that's when I felt like I arrived as a Yankee, when he said, relax, have fun. If I didn't like you, I wouldn't get on you. He used to tell me all the time. But Thurman could have probably played some more years. I think he could have been Hall of Fame. Some people think he's borderline Hall of Fame. But Thurman was an unbelievable catcher and an outstanding hitter.
And an unbelievable leader, right? He was the leader in that clubhouse, right?
He was the captain. I mean, he played hurt. This guy his knees were shot at times, and he just kept battling every day we were out there. But Thurman was the guy that really was the leader of our club. That's why he and Reggie kind of bumped heads a little bit when Reggie Jackson came in '77, because Reggie was talking about the straw that stirs the drink, and everybody in that team knows that, no, this is Thurman's team. And he was the guy that really got us over the hump in 1970. Matter of fact, in '76, he was the MVP of the American League. So it showed you what a great player he was.
Yeah, and Bobby Mercer was a great player too, but I always felt bad. I always felt bad for Bobby Mercer because he had the Mickey Mantle handle. Everyone thought he was going to be a center fielder like Mickey Mantle, and nobody can ever be Mickey Mantle. So he never quite lived up to Mickey's amazing stats, right? So it was kind of a sad figure, but he became such a hero on that day that Thurman died. I still remember that game that night like it was yesterday. Didn't he drive in every run and you were the winning run?
That's right. He was storybook. I mean, we couldn't believe how we were on just pure adrenaline at the time. We were just so devastated by the passing of our captain. And I don't know how we mustered enough energy to go out there and play. But we knew that Thurman wanted us to go out there and kick butt, and we did that. But it was storybook. I mean, and that day, the eulogies that were going on with the guys, Lou Piniella spoke, Bobby Mercer spoke. And when we got back to the ballpark, we said, listen, we're going to go out there and win this for Thurman. And it was so vivid for me when I think about it now, because I remember Bobby coming up there, barely getting into the plate and stroked the ball down the left field line. Bucky scored the tying run, and I come across with the winning run, and we just collapsed in each other's arms walking off the field. It was one of the most unbelievable moments in my career. And you're right about Bobby Mercer. Bobby Mercer was a great player, had unbelievable pressure on him, as a young player, because no one could live up to Mickey Mantle. Come on, that's not even fair, But Bobby was an unbelievable player, came back to us a couple of times, and ended up at the end of his career being even more beloved as a great announcer, along with Phil.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Phil Rizzuto. God, there's a name for the past. I used to love Phil Rizzuto's calls of the games. He was funny. He was the greatest. And his ads were funny too. All the ads he read. So who was the biggest influence in your career? Was it a player on the Yankees? Was it your mom, your dad, a coach along the way? Who was the biggest influence in your baseball career?
Wow, that's an excellent question, because I really had so many guys that really made an impact on me. I mean, initially, let's go back a year or so to the Pittsburgh Pirates. The late, great Willie Stargell took me in the league. Wow. I came up, before I came to the Yankees, obviously, I got traded to them from the Pirates with Doc Ellis and George Brett for Doc Medich. But those guys really kind of laid the foundation for me. Willie Stargell took me in his wing. He passed me on to the Yankees. And when I got to the Yankees right away, Thurman's the captain. Roy White was my mentor. He taught me how to handle myself, not just on the field, Wayne, but off the field. I mean, just a tremendous, classy individual. My first roommate was Chris Chambliss, and they put him with me for a reason, because he was very unassuming, very mellow, very quiet.
Quiet guy.
So all these guys, when you think about Thurman, and then later on Reggie Jackson in '77, to this day, Reggie and I talk almost once a week. So all these guys really gave me my indoctrination to the game. And I can go up and down the line with coaches like Yogi Berra, Lou Piniella, who's a teammate also, and just guys that Billy Martin. I mean, to be able to come into the game of baseball and have all these mentors and guys that teach you how to play the game the right way just was invaluable for me. So I give kudos to all those guys. And I really can't pick one guy, because I was blessed to have an array of guys who really taught me how to play the game, which really kind of spearheaded my career. And I was able to pass that knowledge on to other players, Derek Jeter, coaching the Mets, managing the Mets. So I'm blessed, man. I had a great, great career with a lot of great people that helped me make me who I am.
As you mention those names, you're talking about my entire childhood and all my heroes. Quite amazing. You're bringing me back. Roy White. Nobody remembers that name. I remember Roy White. You know who else I remember? Oscar Gamble. Did you play with Oscar Gamble?
The big afro, man.
Yeah.
We had apartments next to each other, and we would play cards every night and stuff. And it's so funny because with all that hair that he had later on in his career, now we all get a little bald like I am, but he actually lost all his hair, and to see him like that was such a contrast that we used to laugh at him all the time. But people forget that Oscar Wayne, he was a good hitter too. But Oscar
he was.
Power. So
home run hitter.
Known for the big afro and the flamboyance. He had a Rolls Royce at one time before guys had Rolls. He was the first player I knew had a Rolls Royce, man. He was styling big time. But Oscar was an excellent hitter off the bench, took advantage of that short portion, right field, Yankee Stadium, but just a classic guy and again, left us way, way too soon.
Last guy I'm going to ask you about, then I'll get on to other things, but one of my other big heroes was Bucky Dent. Now, there's a guy that was a fantastic player, but never hit home runs. He was a singles hitter. And then that one game against the Red Sox, when you needed it, he hits the biggest 3-run home run in the history of baseball. How the heck did that happen?
Well, Bucky freaking Dent. That's how he did it. But you know what? That was just kind of a surreal situation because you're right. Thank goodness we were in Fenway Park because any other ballpark wouldn't have made it out of there. But what was suspicious for me is that he actually fouled the ball off his foot prior to that. And I think that when he went back to the dugout to get a little, or went back to on deck to get a little pine tar to kill a little time, Mickey Rivers said, "Hey, homie, your bat is cracked." And he goes, "Use this one." I mean, and he looked down at it and he had a little hairline fracture to it. He gave him that bat. So I don't know. A lot of people think maybe that bat might have been corked. I'm not saying that it was.
He never hit home runs, and all of a sudden, boom. Yeah. And he won it and that was the biggest hit of his life.
Mike Torres and hit it out, man. But that was just one of the biggest hits in Yankee history. But Bucky had a knack for coming up with big hits, though. He was a defensive guy, but he always seemed to come through in the clutch.
Yes, and that was the biggest play of his life. He was always known for that home run forevermore. Let's talk about your managerial career real quick. You were a manager. You were really good. Your record's fantastic. How come you never got a second shot? I would have thought that you would have gotten a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth shot. You managed well when you managed.
I don't know, Wayne. That's to this day, I'm disappointed that I didn't get a chance to manage again. I really can't answer that for you. You have to ask the powers that be. But I really felt like after waiting a long time to get the opportunity, with all that knowledge that I had from all the coaches that I've been with and the managers, we turned that team around. The Mets had gotten back to prominence after years of the Yankees just dominating the back pages of New York. So it was such a sense of pride for me to finally wait so long to finally get a shot, Wayne, and then have to be able to turn that organization around. If you remember, around that time, the Braves had dominated the East for 15, 13, 14 years. And so for us to come in 05 and really make a big turnaround as far as winning percentage, and then in 06 knocked the Braves off their perch after all those years, the city was going nuts. Met fans were proud again. And again, let me just throw in, I grew up a Met fan. I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Really?
I was a Met fan. I mean, I was on the other side of Queens, so again, I was more of a National League fan. I loved the game, the fast stuff, a lot of the players that were involved in the game I could identify with. So for me, my friends growing up, we were more National League fans. That's why people say, "What do you mean you're a Met fan? You're a Yankee." Well, I know I'm a Yankee, of course, but I was really a big Met fan. So I just remember being able to experience that '69 team when the Baltimore Orioles got knocked off by the Mets. We were dancing in the streets, Wayne, and we were so excited about that. But those were years that I'll always remember. And again, like I said, having the best of both worlds as a play for the Mets, manage the Mets, and then also be a Yankee captain just was almost, to this day, I pinch myself still.
Amazing. I got to ask one more question. You were part of 2 back-to-back World Series winners, correct? You won back-to-back championships. Those were the years of Reggie stirring the drink. Was that the Reggie time?
Yes. 76. Actually, 77, 78. Reggie came in 77. We finally won the World Series in 77. And then we were able to repeat, which was crazy to me, and back-to-back years. Because back then, the only teams that did that prior to that were the great Oakland A teams, and the Cincinnati Reds with the Big Red Machine. But the Yankees never did that in a long time. So for us to come back after losing to the Big Red Machine in 76, we were totally embarrassed. We made a pact as a team that we're going to come back and redeem ourselves. So we could bring in Reggie Jackson and a few other additions. and just really just got us over the hump, along with the great nucleus of Thurman Munson and all the guys we had there. Mickey Rivers came into the mix and gave us some speed. So we were already primed to take the next step. And once we won in 77, it felt so good with the ticker tape parade. The fans went crazy. Yankee Stadium was buzzing again. And then we actually went out after the big comeback, the Boston Massacre. You remember when we went down to the last game of the season and the Boston, and won a one-game playoff, but you didn't hit the home run like you said.
Yep.
And we won back-to-back, and that was a tremendous team, and a team that's in my heart. Well, there's two trophies you see behind me. Those are the 77, 78 World Series trophies behind me, little replicas.
How cool is that? Your history, and by the way, I didn't play it. You get the history, but I was there for all of it. It just brings back, I have goosebumps as we're talking about it. I was a kid in New York, loving the Yankees. Loving the Yankees and loving you. Hey, last question, Willie, and then I'll let you run. Sports betting, you know that's what I'm known for. For the last 35 years, the media has called me the king of Vegas sports betting. I've got my own star on the Vegas Walk of Stars. I became #1 in this industry. What do you know about sports betting? Is it something you've done a little bit of?
Not really, Wayne. To be honest, I've been in the game so long. I've competed for so long and everything. So I've kind of, back in the day, because I've been in baseball for 4 decades, I've kind of stayed away from that a little bit. I'll give my opinions, and people call me all the time with advice about, who should I pick and here and there, and I'll give them good advice. And I do pretty good with that. But no, I've never really been much of a bettor. But I understand what's going on with it nowadays, and it's legal, and everyone's getting involved in it. And, with FanDuel and DraftKings and everything like that on the baseball end. I mean, I know a lot of friends, a lot of people involved. So it's a good way to stay connected to the game and have a little more fun with it, and really just have a stake in it in some ways, and make a little cake. Nothing wrong with making a little cake. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm really not totally involved in it or whatever like that. But I still keep my finger on the pulse of it.
All right, Willie Randolph, this has been a walk down memory lane. So cool to see you. I got to get your autograph 45 years later. Great to see you again 45 years later, buddy.
Well, I'm doing better. I'm going to sign a bat for you, okay? I'm gonna get you.
All right, cool. Willie Randolph, Major League Baseball star, all-star, 5-time Yankee all-star, one of my childhood heroes, one of the good guys in the game, 2-time World Series champion, just a great all-around guy. Thank you, Willie. God bless. All
right, take care. Good. Nice being with you, Wayne. Take care, buddy.
Thanks for dropping in for another episode of Crush House Legends, only on the Crush House Network. I'm Wayne Allyn Root. Don't forget to check out VegasWinners.com. That's my website. That's my company, Vegas Winners. And stay locked in with me and the rest of our Crush House gang. Unlock all of our expert picks for free. You don't want to miss it. You heard me. Just go there, register. The picks are free. Can't get them free anywhere else except VegasWinners.com. Thank you to Willie Randolph, and he's just one of my childhood idols. What can I tell you? I got goosebumps just talking to him. And if you like what you hear, come back for even more next week and every week, only on the Crush House Network for Crush House Legends. I'm your host, Wayne Allyn Root. See you next time. Just win big, baby.